till shade is gone,
till water is gone,
into the shadow with teeth bared,
screaming defiance with the last breath,
to spit in Sightblinder's eye on the last day.
by my honor and the light.
My life will be a dagger for Sightblinder's heart.
Until the last day. To Shyle Ghul itself.
This is A Dagger for Sightblinder, a podcast focused on all things Wheel of Time, with your hosts,
Sarah Lucas
and Adam Tricola. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Dagger for Sightblinder. May you find shade this day. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Were you drinking something just now?
So rude.
You were being so rude to me. I was like, all right, I'll wait till she's drinking something and get started.
As soon as you did, I was like, that was intentional.
Absolutely. Yep.
So.
Well timed, you mean?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tons of shade to start this day.
I'm glad you have a good drink.
Yeah. That I didn't spit out.
Did you not?
I didn't.
All right.
All right. Back to it.
Yeah. So we've changed again. We've altered the deal further because we're trying to get ahead of like there's going to be something that one of us is gone for a week and is going to be unavailable. We want to continue to have weekly content, and so we've been kind of scheduling things a little bit more frequently, and so that means that we have real lives, and so our schedule keeps getting messed up. And so I think we said last time we were going to do 6 chapters. Now we're doing 8 chapters today instead.
I think so.
Yeah.
We were going to do 37 to 42 or 43, I think.
Okay. So we're doing more now.
And now we're doing 37 to 45.
Oh, that's disturbingly close to 10. In fact, I think it's 9. Niner?
Is that 9?
The old 10 would be one off of it. Yeah. This is 9, I think. Maybe. Okay. Perhaps. So anyways, sorry if you guys only read a few. We're like, hey, we're gonna read this many. But I think this time you can rely on this time you can rely on us. We're going to be reading to what? Normally you're the one who handles this discussion. I don't know how you tricked me into talking about it this time.
I don't know. Okay, so this week we're going to do 37 to 45 because, like you said, we altered the schedule a little bit. So we went a little bit ahead.
Pray we don't alter it further.
Right. But also, I mean, you had a good point. Like, it makes sense to keep going to the end of an arc, and we were basically in the middle. Like, if we had only read until the end of 42, like, we'd be right in the middle of some good stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense to just go to the end of the arc, which means that, like, I should probably not arbitrarily pick chapters and have you vet them or something before I decide where we're going to end them. But yeah, so we'll go to 45, and then the next couple episodes we won't alter the schedule because we're almost there.
Almost there. Heck yeah.
Cool.
So that's fun and stuff.
Yeah. There's no show news.
Yeah, so they finished shooting.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
No date. Nothing.
Yeah. No date. I mean, that's fine because we know there's going to be one. Right. I think the thing that makes me nervous, I get the sense, and this is just me conjuring up in my mind. Like, I haven't been like scouring the sources and like trying to get insights on the mindset of Amazon or whatever. Like, I haven't been like studying their trends or whatever, but I do. It just feels like if they have waited this long to announce season 3, they're waiting to see what season 2 looks like. That they're not going to wait until it airs, I don't think, but they'll wait until it's like, oh, okay, like this looks like a good show, or no, like this looks like crap, and we're just going to throw it away because we have other good fantasy series coming along.
Right. Yeah. Well, they started filming season 2 before season 1 even aired. So they've been filming season 2 for a while. And so I wonder if they will, like what you're saying, if they will, wait until a few months before season 2 starts and then be like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. And you can start filming.
Yeah.
So
I wonder that too.
But none of that's confirmed.
Nothing's confirmed ever.
No.
They've confirmed that it's unconfirmed.
All speculation.
Yeah. So go ahead.
On that happy note.
Talk about the book?
Yeah, you want to talk about the book?
Yeah, guys. So people who are listening to us, first off, I guess I do want to just say, come join our Discord server and talk to us if you want. What we haven't done, Sarah, is we haven't done any like questions kind of thing.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't even think we have a section, but if you guys just want to go to the Discord server and ask, I don't know, just in general chat for now, just, viewer questions or listener questions or whatever.
I can rejig that server. You can rejig the server.
Oh, well, we don't have to. Yeah, we can just add one, to it. It's just like viewer questions, but we would love to interact with you guys. If you have questions, asking us about the lore is not necessarily going to be, I can ask some of that. I can answer a lot of that stuff, but I don't know what you would ask. Right. Like
I cannot answer it.
You can't.
No.
It's okay. You know nothing. You're like Jon Snow.
I know nothing. I'm just like the blind leading the blind over here.
Heck yeah. And here Sarah's like trying to get me to admit like, no, you're not blind. You know things. I'm like, no.
I know nothing.
Nothing. No. You know almost 4 books worth. That's actually what the whole series is. What, 14? I guess 15 if you count the prequel one. So once we're done with this, we'll be over a quarter of the way done.
Okay. Sort of.
Yeah. Sort of what?
Sort of over a quarter of the way done. Not really.
Not really.
Well, if it's 14 books, we're only done four of them. I guess we are. Never mind. Carry on.
Did they change math in Canada?
They did.
Okay. I was like, no, I'm almost like I don't know what the ambiguity here is, so I'm waiting. Share your Canadian insight.
Zero insight. So on that note, don't ask me about the lore. Don't ask me about math.
Yeah, she gets pissed.
Okay, let's actually talk about the book though.
Okay, good. So, good news. The book has Loyal to do the math for us. So
thank God.
Okay, so spoiler disclaimer, perhaps.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about chapters 37 to 45 in the Shadow Rising, the Rising Shadow.
Oh yeah, you're the Rising Shadow.
The Shadow. I'm like double checking. What's the book called? But really anything before that in the book and anything in the first 3 books and anything in the first season of the show.
Yeah, anything at all.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So chapter 37, Imre Stand.
Okay.
That's where we're starting with Rand. Rand and the Aiel.
Yeah.
Because we're still out in the waste.
So what happens?
Yeah. So they're traveling. He wants to go farther than Emery Stand because I believe it's Rurik that's saying that they need to stop and camp. And Avienda's insisting that they stop because they need to be near water. I guess it's just smart. And so they set up camp there, and that's when they Rurik learns that like something is wrong at Emery Stand, and they all kind of head towards it. They all move out there, and then they realize that it's deserted. There's a few, goats roaming around, which is weird, but everyone looks like they've been slaughtered there, and it's just a real lovely scene to walk into. And Matt thinks it was Trollocs, which I mean, I don't blame him for thinking this, by the way. I feel like if that's what you've seen, then that's what you're automatically going to conclude it is. And Avienda says like, well, Trollocs don't come this far into the waste, so it couldn't have been Trollocs.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
Yeah. So now I'm kind of like, when she says that, it's like, okay, so they either do come that far into the waste all of a sudden for whatever reason, or something else is happening.
Right.
Both are not fun thoughts. Like when you think about it, like both are not good.
Yeah, it's unpleasant, certainly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then this is where Avienda ends up scolding Rand about like who he belongs to, and that he belongs to Elaine. And he has like this really, I really enjoyed this. Just kind of like, it felt like he just snapped at her and was like, I don't belong to anybody. I was like, yeah, you tell her.
Well, she's being so obnoxious, man. Like she really is just pretty thorn in the side ish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's not dropping this whole Elaine thing, which is, I don't know, feels weird that she's so hyper focused on this.
Yeah.
But
no, it is weird. It's like, and yeah, she's just a strange person. I mean,
mm-hmm.
I always wonder what to think about her in this segment, because she's just all over the place, but angry. Like she's just consistently such, and you're like, what's going on with her? And Robert Jordan's just like, oh, she's just a petulant child. So we actually had a really good insight from one of our from a comment on our Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
People were saying like, well, yeah, like all of these younger characters are, they have issues here. Right. Like they are definitely immature, and they're a hot mess. And
mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of the joy in this though is actually like the characters growing out of some of these things.
Right.
And maturing. And so I don't know, Avienda's not being mature or awesome, and a lot of people aren't. I think it was a good reminder though. I'm like, man, I guess maybe I should stop complaining about characters as much as I do.
Well, you know what though, it is a good reminder, because it's also still one of those things where I keep forgetting that they are younger than, like, I'm just assuming they're in their like late, not assuming, but for whatever reason, I'm falling into this pattern of thinking that they are in their late 20s, early 30s. Like, I'm just like, yeah, they're
like in the same
adults,
the same position as you and I, roughly, approximately.
Right. And I'm like, keep forgetting like 18.
No, well, so yeah, like as an example, I mean, I just finished watching Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a relationship between two teenagers, and there's one point that one of the teenagers says something really mature, and it just struck me. I was like, they're not like that. This is the kind of thing I would expect from a mature couple. Like from teenagers, I would expect like, why aren't you talking to me more often? like, why aren't
Right.
you like the immature, like, it's all about me and how I feel, and I can't understand it either, and so I'm angry and I'm gonna lash out, like, like that's more typical of a teenager. But
Mhm.
this person in the, I'm not really going through lengths not to spoil anything, but like I was like, oh well, that was a mature, oh well, it was probably written by someone in their 30s or 40s or something.
Right. And then
But
you're like, oh
they're
yeah,
teenagers. Yeah, I'm
that
like,
that makes sense.
yeah, like I don't know that a teenager would be able, I mean, I guess you find a startling degree of maturity in some people here and there. I know when I was a teenager, I was a hot mess, but I had these moments of clarity,
Right.
of like insight of, oh, this is how it should be, and it all clicked.
Hmm.
And then the next people were probably like, oh nice, he gets it, he's like and then the next I take a step, the next step I'm like, and now I'm a teenager mess again.
Yeah.
Like
Everything's a disaster.
yeah,
Yeah.
but you have moments of clarity. But anyways,
Mhm.
just a thought. So appreciate the comments there. I thought that was good. So
Yeah. Which, I mean, okay, so speaking about that, this is actually a really good tie-in, because so Avienda's scolding him, and they're, being all teenagery and not really mature. So Rand does the really mature thing, and he walks off to go practice swords with Land because he knows Avienda won't follow him there and will leave him alone.
I think that's great.
Like, I thought it was great too, but it just tied in so well to what we were talking about. I had to point it out because it's exactly like what you would do. It's like the most petty. You're like, well, you won't follow me. I'm gonna go do something you purposely don't like, so you will leave
Yep.
me alone.
I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Yeah, delightful. Well, what other recourse does he have? He just wants to,
Yeah. I
the
mean,
man
fair.
wants a moment of peace.
Fair. Okay, so Rand does this, and then we go to Matt, and he's kind of like sitting and realizing that all of these memories are flooding him, and like these holes in his memory are filling, and they're all past battles and cities and all of these things. But it's phrased in a way, it's kind of like, it's like he's seeing them from the viewpoint or experiencing it from 100 different men. Like they're not, which
It's not
I'm,
just one person.
yeah, exactly. So, and then he also realizes in this time that he is fluent in the old tongue, not just like bits and pieces like beforehand, but can fully, speak it and understand it again.
Yeah.
And now we have Jason Atiel is asking him all about Rand and their travels, and he's just like hyper focused on wanting to know all about Rand, and then especially about Ruideen and what they saw in Ruideen, what Matt saw in Ruideen, what was there, like all of these details, just so hyper focused on learning them. And Matt just kind of like skips over it, and he mentions the buildings and the tree of life, but he's like, doesn't mention the bubble of evil, definitely doesn't mention the Tar-Angreal, and just is keeping these details kind of close to his chest, which I don't blame him for, because this is kind of sketch.
Yeah.
So excuse me. Yeah, and then they have dinner.
So all I'll say about that is,
Yeah,
there's certain elements of all of this that, like, you could probably really benefit from reading this a second time, like all of this a second time, once you get to like the end of the book ish.
okay.
I think, like, not that you need to or anything, but this is one of the really cool ways that Robert Jordan writes, is he's like, he writes all these things that it's like, oh, that's why so and so did such and such, but they don't like, like, oh, I understand that motivation now, I understand this insight, I have insight to this, but we don't understand it now. It's just like, okay, so they had that interaction, great.
Right.
So yeah, once you've read this, like I've just finished the book, so it's all very fresh in my mind of exactly, like some of the things. Yeah, so
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'll go back and read it again.
Oh, you don't? No, don't go back and read it. Now you have to wonder if I'm telling you that to trick you into actually like force you into it, like trick you into doing it, or otherwise.
I don't have to wonder anything.
You're not the one with thoughts.
No. Oh man. Yeah, so they have dinner, and then after dinner, like he's singing this song about a Manetheren battle, and Matt remembers it differently from how he's singing it, which I thought was interesting as well. And then I feel like maybe this ties into also why he is asking all these questions, but we'll see when I may or may not reread the chapter.
Once you've decided what my motivations were for saying that.
Correct.
I'm just glad that whatever I did is going to be the reason you did what you do.
Maybe. We don't know yet.
Yeah. You will. Yet. You will.
Oh man. But then Trollocs attack after. So Trollocs are there.
They are indeed.
Which, like, Aviendha was like, no, they don't come this far into the waste, but they do. Apparently.
Hey, yep.
They're there.
So who won? This is where Rand dies, right?
Yeah. Story's over.
Yep. Game over.
The end. Yeah, so then we are back with Rand afterwards, and he basically just goes to sleep, and Aviendha stays outside of his tent the whole night because she's got problems, I guess.
Oh, so we're not okay. So the battle happens, and
yeah.
So that they gosh, your notes don't even. They're like Trollocs attack.
Yeah,
oh, and then they're done attacking. Yeah, so like none of the after. So I mean, that they're talking about like why did they attack the way they did? Because they attacked the Shido camp, but they attacked the camp that like, so like they're trying to figure out why they attacked in certain group. Like there were some of that, like they attacked the Shido. Just it looked like maybe they attacked the Shido just so that they wouldn't come to help at all, like so that
like it was coordinated.
Well, they had a strategy in mind. Like they were like, well, maybe they're trying to assassinate Rand or something like that. So there are implications there, and like it's not just a random attack, perhaps. Well, maybe it is. Who knows? What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like none of their attacks have been random since the very first one in the first book.
Right.
Like they've always been going for Rand, is how it's felt.
Sure.
So I'm not totally surprised that they keep attacking where he is.
No.
Or where like the other Taviran are.
Yeah, it makes kind of sense. Makes some kind of sense. Just right? Curious. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it's just worth looking at, glancing at. I don't know.
Totally. I mean, I don't know, because like in that very first one, you have Narg, the OG annoying character, the OG Mac.
Yeah.
But you have him like going after Rand, and he's clearly like he talks to him and is like making it known that they are going after him specifically.
Yeah, no, I mean that you're right. That yeah. I think one thing I'm reacting to here too is when I was a teenager reading this, like I always wanted to read all the battle scenes. Like that was always the stuff that always interested me the most.
Right.
And so like having you just like fast forward the battle, you're like,
I want the development. I want to know what the character. Yeah.
Sure. And I tend to be that way too. But like totally, you're like, oh yeah, and then there's a battle, and then they started doing this, and I'm like, wait a minute, wait, there's a battle. Like there are implications. There are actually things that happen, and there are. I mean,
which is fair.
It's not worth it. Yeah. Anyways, let's continue. I'll make sure that the next time there's a battle, guys, people listening, next time there is some kind of a battle, I will force Sarah to actually discuss it just a little bit.
Okay. So
okay.
Fairly soon, probably.
Now we're going to just now you and I are just going to have this game where you just like try to skip battles, and I'm gonna have to spot them. That's not fun. Okay.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this chapter?
No, there was a battle this chapter. Otherwise, we're good.
Right. Okay, so chapter 38 is Hidden Faces. Oh, we're ruining my formatting. Okay.
You're good.
Okay.
Stop whining.
All right. So this starts with, I can never say her name right again, like as many times as I hear it again. Eggianen. It's like, man,
just call her Eggy.
Okay, cool.
Egg face.
We're with her. So she is just waiting on a report from the Gelb. She's in the Garden of the Silver Breezes, and she spots Bail Doman there, and she decides to kind of, sorry.
Can I just say something? Do you recognize who Gelb is?
Isn't he, oh my gosh, why am I blanking? I feel like, okay, I might be wrong and getting, we literally just had this conversation before we started recording on all of the names. I'm for whatever reason, I'm assuming he's one of the Dark Friends, but
so he's right. So I think, and I didn't go and verify this, maybe I'm just totally crazy, but he is he's the, so in book one, you remember when Rand and Matt and Tom all go on to Bail Doman's ship?
Yep.
There's that one guy who like they all like hated on him, kind of like he was the guy who like was asleep on guard, and like kind of let the Trollocs sneak up on the ship and everything, and so like he ended up getting fired by Bail Doman once they got to Whitebridge. Right. And then he was telling everyone stories about, like trying to get them all in trouble. So this is that same guy. Yep.
Awesome. So Eggy's waiting for him. Cool. Yeah, so she waits for, because she sees Bail Doman, she doesn't want him to see her, so she waits for him to kind of leave. And then she sees Jacob Carradine instead. So then we're with Jacob, and he hasn't finished his orders from the Murdral, where he's obviously supposed to find Rand and kill Rand, and he hasn't finished that, and his family are still like one by one basically being killed or disappearing, and he goes back to his chamber residence, whatever you want to call it, and Leandrin is waiting for him, because why not? So he is afraid that she's going to kill him because he hasn't finished the Murdral's orders for not killing Rand, and he just starts, I laughed, like I realized that I shouldn't have laughed here because it's obviously like a very dark and intense like thing that's happening, but he is like pleading for his life and offering to trade other family members, and he's like, oh yeah, like I've got nieces and nephews, I have a sister, and just like starts rattling off like all of these family members he's willing to basically have murdered so that he can stay alive a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's kind of presented as he's like, oh man, like my sister's dead, my person's dead, right? And then the Murdral's there. He's like, oh, but I don't actually like. Here's more. There's tons more. Like, yeah, let me live.
He just starts like it was such a weird.
Think of the panic that would cause. Like, what if someone was extorting you somehow, and they were like, we're going to kill one of your family members every day, or every month until you do until this thing happens. Like, think of the panic that would cause, like, and the guilt. And
right.
I don't know. I think about that. When I read this part, I'm just always like, man, what a crap situation. And this guy is a guy who doesn't really care that much.
Right.
But I don't know.
It is a crap situation. But I just thought it was
Totally.
funny that he was just like offering up all of these other family members to him.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so she's not there to kill him, and she says that she's wanting him to take over Panarch's palace and to send the Legion away. She refers to him as like her dog or her pet or whatever. It's all very kind of creepy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so she ends up leaving, and then we're in her point of view, and she's just thinking about taking over the palace, and as she's heading back to where she's staying with the other sisters from the Black Aja, and she gets there, and they're all kind of doing their own thing. Some of them are sewing, cleaning, whatever, sweeping, but they're all there, and they're under the impression somewhere in the palace there's something there they're looking for that's going to be able to help them control Rand. So that's why they are there.
Indeed.
Right. And then then we go back to Eggy, because she goes into her house after all of this and finds an intruder who happens to have these like seeker for the truth tattoos, or seeker of the truth, and kind of like get a little brief historical rundown of how he would have gotten these, and they're kind of like passed down in the family sort of thing. But he says that he wants any of the soul dam that she finds to disappear rather than to go back to the Shanchan. And then we learn that she has Bethamin, one of the Suldam, in her basement, captured and leashed. So she's holding her, and she's, basically wanting to know if all Suldam can channel, or is it just, the occasional ones. So clearly there are now like these cracks forming that we're seeing, because she did not know that they could do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's a little bit panicky right now. I mean, yeah, it's an interesting situation, to say the least. I mean, it provides a little bit more insight on the Shanchan.
Right. Right. I mean, they did feel pretty secretive when you first met them, and now.
Yeah.
I feel like this confirms that they are pretty secretive.
Yeah.
Okay. You good for the next chapter? As you're ruining my formatting.
I'm not.
Okay. Chapter 39 is a cup of wine.
Notes. Important notes.
Yes, very, very important notes. So we're with Elaine now, and her and Nynaeve arrive in Tanchico, and they're with Tom and Julian. Excuse me. And they basically, so they get off the boat when they get there, and Bail Doman spots Nynaeve right away and greets her, and all this. They end up catching up, and she ends up telling him after dinner that they are looking for Black Aja and they might need his help. So they're just filling him in. And then while they're there at the inn, Tom is obviously performing, and Elaine just kind of keeps drinking, because there's a like bar servant who's just keeping her wine glass full. And
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, she does not realize that, she's drunk. And by the time Tom finishes performing, he like goes up to his room, and she follows him. She's drunk, and just to tell him that she does remember him, and she remembers like bouncing on his knee and all this stuff from when she was a kid. So they have this whole drunk interaction before she finally goes back to her room. And Nynaeve immediately knows that she's drunk, and Like,
whoa, you are skipping so very much though here.
the interaction of her with her and Tom.
Yeah, tons, because she doesn't know about Tom and her mom.
No, she learns about that here.
Right, she does.
Because he like begrudgingly, and maybe begrudgingly is the wrong word, but he does say that he was like her court bard. And then there's like this whole back and forth between them as Elaine is pretty much piecing things together and figures it out.
Right. Well, but before that, like they're talking on the ship. And like I even put a show notes. I put it in the show in our notes here. In our, just our chat. But yeah, like in chapter 39, around minute 16, Tom.
Oh yeah, you did put
still,
that.
Yeah, like they're on the boat, and like Elaine's starting to like figure out stuff, and then like he just like says something to piss her off, and she just gets all angry about it, and then she like stops figuring things out. Like he keeps like, and this keeps happening actually. Like she even notices it kind of. She's like, man, I have to remember what is it about him, and then every time she's about to figure it out, he just says something that puts her back up, and she's like, what? How dare a Gleeman say that to me?
Right. And distract her from what she's trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's just funny to see Tom just like messing with her. Like he's clearly like way better, and like, I don't know, her level of condescension of, like, oh, he's just this nice old man. Like he clearly, it's so funny that he would, Tom is like, well, I'm not in tier. I don't think Rand needs me anymore. I don't think I need to be there to protect Rand anymore. And she's like, ha ha ha, ha. Well, that's so funny. Like, how could a Glee man ever protect Rand?
Right. She just completely overlooks it.
Totally. And the way he's able to just manipulate her, it's just funny to see. Like, she's all, yeah, I don't know. She thinks she has things figured out, and he's like, no, you don't get it, and I'm just gonna keep, I know exactly what to do to handle you.
Well, like even here though, she's clearly like drunk and figuring it out and having this whole conversation, and then the next day, like she remembers it, and Tom's hoping she doesn't remember it.
Right.
And they're both acting like nothing happened. So
yeah, it's awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, that seems like an important part. So anyways, we can move on if you really want to.
Do you want to hash it out more?
No, let's go. Let's move.
All right. Okay, so then after Elaine goes back to her room and everything, and Nynaeve's there, you can switch to Nynaeve's point of view, because Nynaeve is going to go back into Teleran Riyadh because they're trying to find Egwene. They haven't seen her in the dream world basically for ever since Egwene got ripped out when she went into it by herself, and she wasn't supposed to. Anyway, so Nynaeve's in the Stone of Tear and she's looking for her, and she is kind of like suddenly, all of a sudden she's in the waste, and she's looking over like at Ruidine, and she sees this man, and all of a sudden a woman tells her to leave or this man will kill her. So she turns and she sees Brigitte, one of the heroes from when Matt blew the horn.
Brigitte, yep.
And then she all of a sudden is in Emond's Field afterwards and sees a man there who looks like Lan, interestingly enough. But he shoots an arrow at her and it does like graze her. So she ends up waking up after this, and it's Elaine's point of view, and she's bandaging Nynaeve because the arrow obviously did hurt her, which is, I think, pretty interesting. This is still one of the cool things of tell Ranriad to me that whatever happens there is actually happening to you physically.
Yeah, I think the Matrix prepared me for that.
Oh,
fair,
fair enough.
The mind makes it real.
Yeah. Yeah. So then this is when, like Nynaeve's helping Elaine because Elaine's hungover and Elaine's bandaging her and Elaine's pretending not to remember this whole thing that happened with Tom, and everyone's acting like, nothing happened the night before. But Tom and Julian are discussing looking for the Black Adja, and they're going to turn it into this like sort of competition thing. And Elaine wants to help look as well. And we learn Nynaeve's got disguises for them to kind of throw off Leandrin from knowing who exactly is looking for her, which, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you would know at this point who's looking for you, wouldn't you? Or is it just more so that you're not recognized right away?
Well, I mean, the Black Adja all know what they look like the people that they're chasing. And so if they're wearing things that make it so that their face can't be seen, then they can actually look for these people. They can look for the Black Sisters without
being noticed as quickly.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts?
Oh, so I'm debating here. So there's this thing, like I've hinted at it before. There's this thing in book 2. There's like this piece of prophecy that hints at something that's going on. And I think now's about the time to point it out. So let me actually go get my book real quick. Sorry. Here we go. Okay. All right. So you remember in book 2, like they have the horn, they have Pat and Fane as their prisoner, all of this stuff, and then the Trollocs attack, and you find out that later that it's Ingtar who killed everyone and all, let him in and everything. But like there's this thing that was written on the walls, and they're not sure who wrote it. But it's like a Trolloc or a Myrddraal or someone. It's like dark prophecy though, kind of.
The one that was in blood when that one?
Yeah. So then Varen transcribes it though, like she translates it, and so there's stuff about Lanfear.
Right.
All right, so here's the stand, like this is the third paragraph in. So it says, Luke came to the mountains of doom. Esam waited in the high passes. The hunt is now begun. The shadow's hounds now course and kill. One did live and one did die, but both are. The time of change has come. Blood feeds blood, blood calls blood, blah, 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 blah. So then they're talking about that in that they're like analyzing the text after that. And let's see, so what do you make of it? Moraine asked Varen. And let's see, so they talk about Lanfear a little bit because that's touched on it. Okay, so other names are clear too, Mother. Lord Luke, of course, was brother to Tigraine, then the daughter heir of Endor, and he vanished in the blight. Who Esam is or what he has to do with Luke, I do not know, however. So, but this Luke person, I don't know if he sounds familiar to you at all.
Like the other Lord Luke?
I don't know.
Like the Lord Luke in Emond's Field right now?
Possibly, yeah. And then let's see.
The one the parent doesn't like.
Right. Well, so then she doesn't know about who Esam was, but then a little bit later though, Moraine says in her own head she knew the name. Esam had been the son of Brienne, wife of Lane Mandragoran, whose attempt to seize the throne of Malkir for her husband had brought the Trolloc hordes crashing down. So Brienne and her infant son had both vanished when the Trollocs overran Malkir. So this is and Isam had been blood kin to Lan.
Right. So brothers or cousins or something, or bloodkin.
Yeah, like
right.
cousins, basically.
Right.
Yeah. So anyways, it's
interesting.
The dark prophecy says like one, like there's I mean, I won't say everything about, but like this mentions somewhat like these two people, like kind of, there's Luke and there's Isam. And anyways, we can move on. Like it's in book 2.
Right.
So
but, I mean,
anyway, so
somebody that looks like Lan shot an arrow at Nynaeve.
Well, they say that a lot, and like they keep mentioning things like that
right.
in the text of like, he looks like Lan, he could be Lan's brother, he could be Lan. So anyways, there's hints at who some of these people are, and I don't know if this was a little bit too premature, but the thing is, it's in the text previous to this. Like, I'm not giving anything away. This is just a really obscure, like it's part of this prophecy that they kind of unearthed. So
right.
Anyways,
that kind of hints at it.
It does. I mean, and we could talk about more of it probably in the next couple episodes, but it's worth noting that, like Nynaeve isn't just having a fantasy of just like, oh, I want everyone to look like Lan or something.
Right. Which is fair.
Yep.
Okay.
Super fair.
Okay, so next chapter 40.
Sure.
Which is Hunter of Trollocs. So it's been almost a week, basically. It's been 6 days since they rescued the Emmons Fielders from the White Cloaks camp. And Fael tells Perrin that people of the Two Rivers are now calling him Perrin Golden Eyes, because he gets this nickname. And Lord Luke recommends, because he's there, that they all go to Emmons Field now. And
Luke comes to visit him with Fael.
It's like we should all go back to Emmons Field, and he's like, no, we're still hunting Trollocs, not done.
Right.
And Gaul and the group basically come and tell Perrin that there is a band of Trollocs that they could ambush, that they've seen one, but then they end up getting ambushed themselves and like trapped themselves, and Trollocs are shooting arrows at them, and one ends up hitting Perrin in his side. So after all of this has ended and they've killed the Trollocs, this battle chapter, they
oh, you saw my note. Okay,
I did this battle chapter that we're getting another one in this recap. And Ivan's there, and he like cuts off this Trollocs head, or a Fade's head, sorry, not a Trollocs head. It's just this whole craziness. All
right, so they get ambushed.
Yeah, they get ambushed by Trollocs and Fades, and they're battling, and Perrin gets an arrow to the side, and then he's hurt, and then once everything's over, they end up hearing there's like music nearby them.
Oh, so it's all very suspicious. Like so Perrin has been killing Trollocs, like he's been killing bands of them and stuff, and no one knows how he finds them.
And successful, like just killing them.
Yeah.
Without really losing anybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they have bows and arrows, so it's like they're not fighting hand to hand and stuff. And then Luke and Fael show up, and then Gaul, who knows how, like this is all highly suspicious too,
right?
Because Gaul isn't someone, he had been telling Perrin like without ego, he's like they might try to make me a clan chief, like this, he's a smart guy, he knows his business, and he's fought Trollocs before, and so they're waiting, and they get ambushed instead. Like the Two Rivers people. Yeah. Yeah. And then Ivan shows up. That's Alana's
Alana's
warder.
warder. And Alana is sus too.
But he does kill a Fade and saves Perrin. And
he
then
does.
Yeah, and then they're all, I mean, then the Trollocs are, going to, like, they're stalking the Emmonsfielders, but the Murderal's not with them anymore. So they so Ivan gives them the advice of like, okay, if we all look menacing enough, like we're willing to fight, then maybe they'll go pick easier prey. And that's basically what happens.
Right.
So, important battle things that are happening here.
Important because this is the one where like quite a few of the Two Rivers people die in this one, correct?
Yeah, like this is
because this is the one where, I mean, we're going to get into this, so this isn't a crazy spoiler for an upcoming episode, but Perrin ends up feeling guilty that these people have died.
Right. So you're saying like you don't care about the battles, you just care about character development. And this is a very important aspect of character development, because he's feeling crushing guilt of like
leading them.
He's like 27 of my guy, or however many, 27 of my men have died because of me. And he's like feeling awful about it. So, and the fact that he got ambushed is also important. So because it's not just like, oh, we had a pitched battle, like we planned it, and 27 people went willingly to their deaths, kind of, like they went into the fight knowing they could die.
Right.
He was, he's feeling bad because he got ambushed, and he's like, I'm the worst person in the world.
Right. Which is not true.
It might be.
Maybe Perrin's sus.
Yeah. Just
kidding.
He totally is. I think you're sus for not wanting the battle chapters.
Not that I don't want them. There's quite a lot that they tend to bleed together.
But they all have important. Like I don't care about the details of like, and then he swung and the guy dodged, and then he he taunted him a second time. No, I mean, like I don't care about the. I don't care about the dodge and parry and all of that stuff. Like, but what I do care about is the greater strategy and, like the implications of what happened. Like that, just because a battle happens, doesn't mean like it's not just, oh, some people were swinging swords. Like, hey, they got some exercise. It's like, hey, there's actually like, some actual implications there.
Right. Okay, fair.
There's meaning, there's significance. So
fair.
Anyways, we'll keep talking about battles. Don't worry.
Great. I'm sure we will. Okay, so next chapter 41 is among the Tuathawan.
Indeed.
Because, he heard music nearby. So what could that mean? So they obviously are seeing these Tuathawan wagons and are approaching them. However, the Aiel won't, because the Aiel won't approach the quote unquote lost ones, which I thought was a nice little throwback to all those like memories that Rand had been seeing when he was in Ruideen. Anyway, so they make their own camp. They won't go where the Tuathawan are camping. They camp separately. But Rain and Isla are there. So they come back and they're helping to bandage everyone, but Isla can't heal Perrin. She can't remove the arrow. And Fael's like, well, if we can keep him alive, we can get to Emmonsfield and someone there can do it. So that's their plan. And then Aram enters because he's still around too.
Hey, and so Aram is obnoxious as hell, actually. So one thing you neglected to mention is that Perrin has an arrow in him.
Yeah, I said that Isla couldn't take it out.
Oh yeah, okay. I was just ignoring you.
And that's why Fael was like, if we can keep him alive, we can get him back to Emmonsfield. They'll be able to do it.
Yeah, you probably said that stuff. So, but okay, so Aram comes in and
Perrin, chapter.
sorry, were you talking again?
Sorry, go on. So Aram comes in.
and he's just like, is he going with you? What's going on? What's and Perrin's like, I'm injured, a-hole. Like,
yeah, there's an arrow in me.
Like, freaking leave. I don't have time for your nonsense. And Aram's like, nah, 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 just talk. And it's like, can you just shut up, dude? Like, how obnoxious. Like, you have an arrow in you. Like, you just got done like losing a bunch of your men. You're like, you're feeling crushing guilt, and some guy comes in. He's like, hey, you remember that hot girl you were with a while ago when I met you? Like, is she still here? What's she doing? What's she up to? Like, what's she wearing? Like, it's just so obnoxious. and Perrin's, and it's like, can you just freaking leave? You're the most obnoxious person in the world. Like, I have an arrow in me, and you're asking about some random girl. Like, so stupid. And he's like checking out Fail too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I really do like that Perrin hasn't really changed his tune here with Aram. He's like, he was rude with him before and he is rude with him now. Like, he's like, nah, just get out of here. Go away.
Yeah.
Don't have time for your nonsense. Didn't have time for it then. Still don't have time for it now.
Yeah. Aram's like, I have a high opinion of Aram in this chapter, clearly.
I can tell.
It's just so obnoxious. Like, you have an arrow sticking out of you, and some guy just comes in, and I don't know. It's like, he's supposed to be, I mean, oh, whatever. I just, if I talked to someone who had an arrow in them,
yeah,
and who was clearly laying it like in a bed because they couldn't like move, really, I'm probably not going to ask a bunch of inane, obnoxious questions. Probably.
Right.
Unless I'm Aram.
Unless you're Aram, man. Dude hasn't learned.
Yeah, he hasn't. He hasn't.
So he does eventually leave, though.
Oh, finally, yeah. Once Perrin's just like, you know what, dude?
Get the hell out of here.
If I didn't have an arrow in me, like, they'd kick your skinny ass up and down the wagons. Yeah, like.
So okay, so Aram leaves. He's gone. And then Perrin and Fail end up having this conversation, and he's asking about who her parents are and her dad, and because she keeps mentioning her father to him. And that's when he realizes that she is a lady, and she claims that she ran away, that she wanted to be a hunter for the horn. So she took off. She didn't want to learn, like, follow in like the family traditional footsteps and whatnot. And then she asks him what Aram, because Aram mentioned something to Perrin about, and his inane questions about running with wolves. So she's like, what's this mean?
Okay, so real quick though, like, you skipped over the battle part of this too. Like, her dad is the.
Oh, like, yeah, there was like a really long title.
Yeah, he's the commander of all of the armies of her nation. Like, he's one of the great generals. Like, we'll actually meet him eventually. Davram Bashir is a really cool character. So, but he's a general. Like, he's one of the great captains, I think is what they call him. One of the top 5 in the whole world. So, anyways,
important to note.
I thought it was important.
But
fair. Yeah, she's also cousin to Queen Tenobia of Saldea. Right. Like, she's not that far away in the line of succession, in fact. I mean, far enough away, but like, she's as far as nobility goes in Saldea, it's
she's up there.
Yeah.
Right.
Hold on, am I saying the right country? Saldea, whatever country she is. She's in a borderland country too.
Yeah, I think she's Saldea, isn't she?
Yeah, I always get Saldea confused with, what was the first place that we were in? The first borderlands place, that the Eye of the World and stuff.
I
I'm looking here.
You're not talking about Falm.
No. No, there's Saldea, Candor, Elifer, Shinar. Oh yeah, it was Shinar. Okay, yeah.
Right.
So she's Saldean. Yep. Okay. They just both have. You were talking about how everyone has similar names and everything's similarly named. I mean, not that
Saldea.
Shinar, Shinar and Sidar. Wait.
And Sidene.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, so they're doing their. So anyway, so she's pretty high. She's pretty high ranking for her country. But right. Then yeah, she asks about the wolves.
Yeah. So then Perrin, has to explain this whole thing to her about his wolf connection and what's been happening. So they have this like actual meaningful conversation.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, like it's not expected, right? I mean, like after she like manipulates Loyal, after she does all this stuff, and like she's so obnoxious, and then they actually like talk, and like she's not all judgy about it. Like he's waiting for her to just be like, oh, like you could talk to wolves, okay, like I'm done with you. Yeah. But she's like, if you really do have that good of hearing, I'm gonna have to watch out what I say.
Yeah. Like she just kind of goes with it.
Yeah, which I mean that like huge. She gets points with me for that. Like I like her more for that. Like everyone's got their issues, and not that we have to just accept everyone's issues blindly or anything, but like accepting people for who they are, especially if they're not like hurting you for it, like accepting and then just like continuing on. I mean, I think that's a sign of maturity. So
right.
I liked that part. Plus, I just think it's funny, like Perrin's like, whoa, she's a noble. Like this crazy. How could she like a blacksmith like me?
Right. And she just goes with it. Doesn't.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Any more thoughts?
No.
All right. So chapter 42 is a missing leaf. So Perrin is asleep. He's in the wolf dream and he's near Emond's Field. And he sees ravens in the sky, all this fun stuff. And he stops at the waygate that they came through, the one that Loyal ended up taking the leaf from the inside and putting it on the outside so that it was locked. Locked from the outside. Anyway, so he notices that there's only one leaf there now. And it's clearly no longer locked. The waygate opens and then it closes. Like he doesn't really see what's going on, but he is assuming that there are more Trollocs are entering Emond's Field, that it's not somebody leaving Emond's Field. And then he senses that he's being watched. So he kind of starts hiding, and then it's like this, sounds stupid to say, cat and mouse game, but it's basically a hiding cat and mouse game with Slayer. And he notices that he resembles Lan.
Oh, really?
Oh, funny that is.
I'm laughing. Ha ha.
But he tells Perrin that lots of Trollocs died to Ma Chin Chin inside of the waygate when they locked it from the outside here, and that they're coming to Two Rivers to kill Perrin because these Trollocs died, and it's like, I guess, getting revenge or whatever. And Perrin ends up thinking that like he gets the sense that maybe he's trying to be lured into like a trap, so he deliberately ends up waking himself up out of the wolf dream instead of following, and he tells Fail all about the waygate when he wakes up because she's there, and she insists that they need to go to Emond's Field to heal him because he's still got this arrow in his side.
Right.
And because he's like, oh, the waygate obviously wants to go. And, she's like, no, we got to go get you healed.
Yeah. So
that's fun about the waygate. Fun news there.
Yeah, Waygate's open, letting
Waygate's
Trollocs
open.
in. Yeah.
Just keep on coming.
Come on in.
Yeah. So afterwards, though, after Perrin wakes up, he has this conversation with Fael. He ends up talking to Rain, and he's trying to convince him to bring the to move the Tinkers and the wagons and everything to Emmons Field and go to Emmons Field, and he doesn't want to. But anyway, they're making their way down there. Afterwards, they leave and they see that, you know, all these trees have been cut down, and it doesn't really, like, it's the same but a little bit different. And they've got these, like, there's like a fence of stakes that's going up, and catapults are being built, and like clearly everyone there is just working on turning the village into this, like, I don't want to say a fortress, but they're just working on defending it. And kind of cool.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Right? Like, you go down and see that. And anyway, so then Perrin goes back into town, and everyone is like admiring him and calling Perrin Golden Eyes. And you know, I think he even sees there's like a wolf banner in the town square.
Yeah.
Like, they've put one up. Anyway, so
well, and they find out that it was one of the Aes Sedai who crafted that, like, who helped them find, you know, figure out what to do with the flag and everything.
Yeah, and so it's a nice little thing that's going on here. But
the Aes Sedai touch is like, oh, what are they doing with the flag? Like, what are they trying to do? But yeah, it's cool. Like,
are they trying to manipulate?
Well, clearly, like, they're trying to accomplish something.
Yeah, so he's now obviously back in the village, and Varen looks at his wound and is like, yeah, this definitely needs Alana to heal. And then I think it was in this chapter that somebody mentioned that Alana's kind of been wandering away on her own. I think it was in this one.
It was actually before the Trollocs attacked. Fael came to talk to when they were coming to visit Perrin. Like, Fael was with Lord Luke, and she said, "Oh, and I have a message from Loyal."
Right.
Like Alana's been off. You know, she left a few times. Like, he's been kind of keeping track of her, because remember, that was the reason Perrin gave Loyal for not coming with them.
Right, to watch her, and she's been going off on her own.
Correct. Yep.
Not sus at all.
No, not at all.
No.
Let's see. So, yeah, there's something else there. I forget now. We can continue.
Okay. Okay, so chapter 43 is Care for the Living. And this is where Varen, you know, takes Perrin so that Alana can heal him. And they have to wait because Ivan has to go find her because she's been taken off on her own. And during this process, there's like these boys from town, old friends, parents, whatever, that are asking all about what it's like outside of the Two Rivers and what all these other countries are like and cities are like that they've been to. And it's kind of I don't know, I thought it was a little humorous is probably the wrong word, but it was fun to read because you realize there are all of these people who they've never left, and they probably never will leave. Like, that's where they'll stay, and they want to hear about all of this like grand story from Perrin and what he's been doing.
Yeah.
You know.
All this while he has an arrow in him.
I feel like, you know what? He's being a good sport and putting up with their questions, I guess, while he's waiting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's, he wants to bolster their spirits and stuff.
Yeah. But they also ask about like Matt and Rand, and he's really vague about them, like what they're doing and where they are, because he doesn't want anything that points back to Rand, possibly would point to Rand being Dragon Reborn, so he just is super vague. Right. And then he ends up telling Loyal that the Waygate is being used again, and it's being used by Trollocs, and Loyal gets really upset with himself here that he like locked it how he locked it. You can just, it's very loyal. He just is like kind of beating himself up a little bit over the fact that he didn't think about the fact that, you know, it could still be used from the outside if he had locked it from the outside, and he didn't want to destroy it. And just very loyal.
Yeah. Loyal's
Very
like,
loyal.
yeah, we gotta.
Yeah. And then finally Alana shows up, you know, because he's still got that arrow in his side, and she's like, yep, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be difficult and it may fail, but we'll try. And Perrin faints because he's in pain.
Yeah, they put something in his teeth. Like, they have a bunch of people like holding him down.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is gonna hurt, Perrin. Like, here's, you know, bite this thing. And he snaps the thing that he's biting and then passes out.
Ugh. Ugh. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Cool. So any thoughts before the last 2 chapters here?
Not really. I mean, they're
pretty straightforward.
Everyone's been treating Perrin with some reverence. It's kind of fun, I guess. It
is kind of fun.
A little bit.
While he has an arrow in his side.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I guess the thing that we should point out too is just that he is, you know, like everyone from when, that was what I was going to mention. Okay, so they were with the Tinkers, and then he tries to talk the Tinkers into going with him to Emmons Field. And the Tinkers are like, no, we're not going to go to a town. And you know, he's like, no, please reconsider it. And like the Tinker leader is like, oh, I don't even know how you get me to consider this, but you know, should we do this, people? And you know, the rest of the Tuatha are like, nah, let's not do it. You know, even though they know that Trollocs are near. Right. So
which is why he wants them to move. He wants them to be out of the like line of fire of the Trollocs, so to speak.
He wants them to be safe. Yeah, and so the other part of it is when they get to the Tinkers, this is rewinding just a little bit, like he knows all the ritual greetings because he's already seen the Tinkers, and his like legend grows in front of his men. Everyone's like, what? He knows what to say to the Tinkers, you know, because the ritual greeting and everything. It's just fun. Right,
that's a good point. It kind of just adds to his like grandeur for them.
Right? Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay, so chapter 44 is the breaking storm, and so it's been obviously, so Perrin has fainted, and then he has been out for however long. When he wakes up, and Fael's been sitting there, and she's like, nope, you've got to keep resting for another couple of days. You know, I think he like notes to himself that she's clearly just been sitting waiting for him to wake up for however long he's been passed out for, and is acting kind of like he can tell that she's holding something back, essentially. And so she finally admits to him that Loyal and Gall ended up leaving that morning to go deal with the Way Gate and the fact that it's, you know, open again and the Trollocs are coming through it. So he's like insisting on going to help them. And she's like, no, like you need to stay and get back in bed. And they're arguing. And he gets up and he ends up wanting to leave. And she's just trying to like pull him back on his one arm. And he goes, and because exactly like she said, that he needs to rest and he's too weak, and he goes to walk down the stairs, and
the line is so good. It's like, it was the stairs that betrayed him.
Because I mean, his leg betrayed him because his leg couldn't hold his weight, and they both fall down the stairs.
Right. Well, yeah.
It is a good line, though.
Yeah, it just makes me laugh. You know, he's being stubborn, but she's like, well, if you can actually get out of the bed and actually put your clothes on, then you can go. And so he does. It like, and he's naked under the covers, and he's just like, I'm not gonna let her bully me. So he just gets out of bed naked and just, you know, puts his clothes on, and she's like, oh my gosh, you can't actually go. And
she's like, I didn't think you would actually do this kind of thing.
Right.
He called her bluff, and
so that they fall down the stairs, and she's like on top of him,
Mhm.
and Mistress Elvire comes and sees them, and he realizes that it looks like they're just playing kissing games. It's real awkward.
Oh man, right? But then they weren't. And but then while this has happened, he ends up hearing that there's like a troll. They hear a cry that there's a Trolloc outside, or whatever. And Perrin also wants to go investigate this, and she's like, no, no, no. And finally, like succumbs and is like, if you ride your horse, you can't get down and fight. Like, just stay on your horse, no fighting, kind of thing. But so they get out there and they realize it's only one Trolloc, and it's, somebody's killed it. But Bane and Chiad said there are hundreds of Trollocs that are preparing to attack.
Yeah.
So everyone in Emond's Field ends up kind of like rallying, and like Tam and Abel are all there, and they're kind of like yelling at everyone to get to their posts and get to their places and get ready, because Trollocs are coming. And eventually, like when they get close enough, they start shooting like the catapults and the arrows at them and everything, and they kill off all of the Trollocs and Fades before they reach the village. So everyone is so excited that they did this and no one was injured. And then Tam and Tomas end up going to investigate like the battlefield of where the Trollocs were, and they kind of realized like this was actually probably a test for us, and like they weren't trying to actually come into the village.
Right. Well, and Tam is like, Tam asks in the middle of the fight, he says like, at 500 paces, Perrin, and Perrin's like, well, sure, why are you asking me?
Yeah,
but
Perrin's in charge all of a sudden.
Right. Well, yeah. So yeah, like they think it's just a feint, but everyone's celebrating, and Bran Elvire is like, a fine victory you've led us to, my boy.
Yeah, they're all celebrating.
Yeah, and it's all yay, Perrin,
Right. But then like also, so this is all happening, they're all celebrating, they're all happy, and then there's like a massive commotion that they hear at the other end of the village. So maybe it was a distraction.
Ooh. Mayhap.
Cool. So last chapter we'll talk about chapter 45, which is the Tinker's Sword. So they all rush to the other side of Emond's Field, and they're rushing because they're hearing shouts that Trollocs are attacking the other side of the town. So they get there, and then they realize that it's not Trollocs, it's the Tinkers. So the Tuathalan have come down.
Right. Oh yeah. So then he's like, hey, you, like, everyone stop shooting arrows. Like, you're shooting at Tinkers. You kidding me? Like, okay, guys, it's safe to come in. And this is such an interesting part, though. Like, so like that, then the Emond's Fielders are like, no, we don't want dirty Tinkers here. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want Tinkers. And he's like, are you kidding me? Like, are you really suggesting that we allow children, who are with the Tinkers, to just be out there with the Trollocs? And all the people who were originally like taking the stance of like anti-Tinker, like, of course we're not gonna let children, like, so they like start arguing with each other, like trying to, like, no, of course we don't want to, like, it's just this really funny situation where they're jockeying with each other of trying to convince each other.
Yeah, that it's fine. Like, they can come into the village, and
yeah. But I thought it's one of the most powerful moments, because like, so Perrin plays the role of reluctant leader pretty well. Like, he doesn't want to, he doesn't think he should be in charge. And there are people who have more experience than him and stuff. But he's gonna be kind of thrust into this role. But like, there's this is one of those moments of like, he goes over and he's just expecting to hear, someone else come and, take over, and no one is. And he's like, no, like, we're not letting tinkers stay out there. Like, this is so crazy of you guys. Are you suggest it, like, you know? And they're like, and they totally back down and defer to him. Like, it's this really powerful moment.
It's interesting too, because in the last chapter, like you were saying, like Tam is like, okay, so like 500 paces, and like asking him for his leadership and guidance. Right. And he's like, I don't know why you're asking me, kind of thing. But then in times like this, he just steps into that role naturally and they listen to him.
Yeah.
So it's a nice little, like, it's exactly what you said, where he's reluctant to do it. And it's almost like he just does it subconsciously anyway.
Yeah.
So
to rewind just a tiny bit, I did like during the bat, like right as the Trollocs are charging, like they start some of the archers start shooting like way before they should, and Tam calls them all like lack-witted sheep brains or something, and some of the men started muttering to themselves about not having to stand up for that kind of language even if Trollocs are attacking, like like they're just like willing to just like throw down their arms to, you know, like go start a fight with Tam in the middle of it, just because
of the language,
right? It's like, well, I think I'd probably be okay with someone calling me something awful in the middle of that stressful situation, but
right. Oh yeah, man,
I'm like, I need to start calling people lack-witted sheep brains more often. So
don't call me one.
The rest of this chapter is so interesting to me though, because the whole time Perrin is trying to go follow Loyal, like he's looking for a way to join Loyal and Gaul, and people just keep asking him advice of like, what do we do here, Perrin? Like, what do you think, Perrin? What, you know, and he solves their problems though, like he figures it out. Like,
well, I mean, a lot of it is like him like just reversing the question too, which is funny,
right?
Because we haven't had a conversation about that in particular, but it's similar to the, what do you think it says?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you think you should do? What do you think is the whatever reaction?
Well, that's what I always do with my kids. Like, my boys are all it's great that they're curious, they want to know, but I'm always like, well, I'm not just going to tell you, like, you guys figure out, you know, use your brains, you know. So like, Daddy, why is this, you know, why is the lion's mouth so big? I'm like, why do you think it's so big? Oh, so maybe it can fit more food. Maybe, you know, like
but I mean, it's
an effective strategy. Yeah,
because then you're thinking for yourself.
Oh, it's good.
So
but he does have a certain amount of, you know, like he problem solves too. Like, the interesting thing about Perrin point of views is, even like, so we see some of the truth about him, and then like it's kind of fun because there's layers of truth here. And this is one of my favorite things about his writing is not everything, like everyone is just a little bit, like you can't really trust it's an unreliable narrator, like, right, know, it's all from his perspective. And so even though we see him do heroic things and then he'll say like, no, I'm not a hero, or something, like there are also things that he just doesn't see himself as heroic about, but we get to see it like we get to see like what other people think of him, what he thinks of himself, but then we also get to see like the truth where, you know, in the middle, like Robert Jordan does a really good job of like kind of layering it for us. And this is one of those things of like, you know, he genuinely believes that he isn't solving any of the problems, and yet there's one time that it's like, okay, there's the Fletcher in town he can't make enough arrows. Of course, one person can't make enough arrows for the whole, you know, like army that's forming, and like, so that guy is like he's refusing to have anyone else help or anything. And so Perrin comes in and just gets a bunch of kids to come and help. So the guy's like business isn't threatened. It's just, you know, like he just needs hands to help make the arrows. But that's something that Perrin cleverly thought of on his own.
Right.
But he refused, like he doesn't even see it as something he's like, oh yeah, he just solved it on it, you know, like the Fletcher solved it on his own.
Right. He doesn't see it as him solving the problem.
Right, which I don't know. I just thought that was it's another layer of, of truth, of what, what he sees, what we see, what the actual truth is, what the people, think of him. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, maybe he is actually pretty good at problem solving, and he's always, takes his time to think through things, and he knows he's not stupid, even if other people kind of have had that perception,
Think that maybe he is, or
they yeah,
oh,
poor guy.
Poor parent.
Right.
Yeah, so all this is going on though, which is great, because I like seeing this tweak to Perrin. And then that really cool guy Lord Luke comes back with a Murdral head, and he starts talking about how he defeated all these Trollocs all by himself, and
he's pretty dang fancy.
Yeah. So how cool cool is this? And Perrin's like, I'm too tired to deal with this guy I don't like, and too hungry, and all this. So he heads back to the inn.
Oh man, I should just, because you're talking about Luke here.
Okay.
Rewinding even way further back, when Fael and Luke came and visit him at the very start. He also had mentioned, like, he'd done some like kind of like asking around, and every time a farm had been burned, like Lord Luke had visited it just pretty recently, and Fael's like, you can't possibly think he's actually a dark friend. Like, he's helped with the defenses, he's done all this, like he's killed, Trollocs and murder, like he's done all this stuff, like there's no way he's a dark friend. And
right.
And Perrin says something like kind of flirting with her to kind of throw her out, but he's like, well, the only person I trust in this world is you, kind of thing.
Right.
Fael, and she's just like, oh, he thinks I'm fancy.
No, I forgot that they had that discussion when she came. Because I remember when that happened, being like, oh, that's an interesting little thing that he's been there. Yeah. So him coming in now is even more suspicious.
Susser and susser.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's such an awkward way to say things.
Don't say it like that, please.
I don't tell me not to say it like that. Like that, please.
Oh man. Anyways, they're in the inn, and Aram is there, and he's asking out more questions about the spears on the wall and who owns them and all this kind of stuff. And then he ends up taking one down.
Well, because Perrin's like, no, don't worry, no one's gonna try to hurt you with that. Like, they're for anyone to take, but don't worry, like, no, because he thinks that as a tinker that Aram's concerned that he's gonna like get attacked or something.
Right.
And the tinkers had been attacked, by the way, and a ton of them had died, and including Aram's mom, and his parents are gone, and not many of the wagons are left, and it's like a really tragic thing. But Aram, so anyways, sorry, continue.
So that's it, like Perrin says, it's for anyone to take to like defend yourself. And Isla is the one, she sees him taking it and is like trying to get him to not take it and to take the sword away from him. And Perrin's like, no, like he can do it. He has the right to be able to defend himself, and he should, he tells Aram to go find Tam and get Tam to teach him.
Oh, well, it's so like you've like kind of fast forward that interaction so much, but it's just this replay of what Rand saw in the Pillars, of like, someone wants to defend themselves, and the people who are following the way of belief are like go F yourself, like you're not even part of us, like kind of, don't look at me, you have the face of a son I used to have, kind of thing, like, no, you're not. And it's just the most disgusting thing. Again, like
if you history repeating itself thing.
Well, like if you really love someone and they make a decision that's not, I mean, maybe it is just, something you don't stand for at all. Like if you truly love them, are like, should you just be like, oh, okay, well, like, oh, then I'll never talk to you? Or should you be like, let me work with you? Like I feel like if my sons decide to, if they just did something bad or whatever, they decided to do something bad when they're older, I'm not going to just be like screw you, like
Right.
I'm never talking to you. Like that doesn't show love. That shows selfishness. Shows like just your own stubbornness. Like it
Right.
doesn't show your willingness to, like, even if you like, on some level know that the person is wrong, like you think they're wrong, at least like helping them move past it, or at least just showing love and be like, you know what, that one thing doesn't totally define you.
Right.
I still love you. Like it's crazy to me that people can do this, and yet we see this
All the time.
in real life.
All the time. You see it everywhere.
Yeah, I'm just constantly like I know one lady who just real recently, a lady who, I grew up going to this person's church and stuff, and I really like this lady, but she just recently found out that her daughter had like was lesbian, and because she's in the church, like this is a big deal suddenly. And like whatever side you sit on that, I guess I just really like the way she handled it. It was, she basically just said, well, like, I'm never talking to you again. Like
Oh,
they
that's
won't
heartbreaking.
they won't talk. She won't talk to, she won't acknowledge her as her daughter. Like it's just like all those years that they had together are just like basically just thrown aside and wasted. And it's like, even if you think that lifestyle is bad, and I'm not saying at all but even if you do think that, don't you think that it would be worthwhile to actually stand with your your loved one and actually,
Right. Have them in your life.
I don't know, like get over yourself and actually like show them actual love, not just if it's convenient to me. I don't know. I'm just ranting. I'm sorry. It's this is very real though. Like this is one of those things.
It's one of those things that is like, it's there and it's clearly like a narrative device, so to speak. And like he's making it tie back in, like you said, but it also just has so many like connections that you can make into real life as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Loving someone isn't necessarily convenient,
Right. Right.
So anyways.
Yeah. Okay, so this has happened, and then white cloaks get there.
Yeah.
They just keep piling on everyone that's arriving at Emmons Field. So they get there, and Bornhold's there, and he's in command. And he says like the Terran ferry is pretty much wiped out. Some managed to cross the river, but it's pretty much done. They lost 50 men or however many it is. And Luke is surprised to hear about this. So he's obviously, chatting with them. And he wants to know if Ordeath was at Terran Ferry. So Luke is more and more interesting. So
sure.
Anyway, and so Bornhold says that Perrin's going to be under arrest. He's going to take him to be tried. And Bran kind of steps in. He's like, no, like you don't have any proof. Like you can't arrest people without proof of anything. So things are obviously like super tense because they want to arrest him, and they're like, no, you can't do it, whatever. Anyway, so Perrin kind of gives them this like compromise solution type thing that, you know, the White Cloaks could stay there and help defend the village against the Trollocs, because the Trollocs are going to be attacking. And he doesn't, you know, he says like he doesn't want them to fight each other when the Trollocs are the bigger problem. Like they should work together and take the Trollocs out as a team. So
good for him.
Yeah. And that's the chapter.
And that's it for the Perrin arc. And yeah, so what
his leadership growth.
Yeah, well, at some point he's like, oh well, now I can't actually get to Gaul or Loyal. Like there's no way I can reach them. So
they are doing their own Waygate stuff.
Waygate things.
Waygate things.
Hashtag Waygate things. Yep. Yeah. So who's the most annoying character?
Ooh. Honestly, it sounds so weird to say because she's only in it briefly, but I kind of want to say Avienda.
Okay.
She's annoying.
She is.
Fael didn't annoy me at all actually during these chapters.
Right.
And obviously like Perrin didn't annoy me. I don't think they did anything dumb. Yeah. I guess like Elaine could be a little bit annoying, but I find Elaine actually just kind of funny.
Okay.
When she's drunk. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Avienda.
I just thought it was funny that Elaine kept having some guy just kept filling her wine glass. She's like, I couldn't have drank more than one glass. I would never do that. Okay.
Well, I mean, she didn't drink more than one glass. It just
I know.
Kept refilling.
Bottomless glass, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the most annoying character for you then?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there was that scene with Aram. Oh
yeah, Aram. I already blocked him out of my memory.
I thought he was annoying, but then he had that tragic thing happen, you know, and he was like, if I'd been able to save my mom if I had a sword, you know, like it's like this heartbreaking, like I could have saved her, and they're just like, nah, man, like there is no excuse for violence at any point. And I'm like, right. I don't know. The whole like pacifism at any cost is just so crazy to me. And so I think at the end, I think even though she's a relatively minor character, I think that Isla from the Tuathawan, who was like, it was just like, you know what, you're not part of us. You're not. I will never talk to you again, kind of thing. To her grandson, like how could you do that?
Sad.
It's sad and it's awful of her.
And it makes her the Mac.
I think so. That's my opinion, at least. Maybe we could just say assorted tinkers.
Assorted tinkers.
Well, because Aram was annoying at one point too.
It's true. Oh man. Yeah. Okay, so Macs are done. Ooh.
The sussest.
The sussest?
As you might say.
So at first I was like Jason Natal is pretty sus. And now I'm kind of like trying to figure out what he's actually trying to do. And I don't think it's as sus as I originally thought. Alana is definitely still up there. And Lord Luke is way up there.
Okay, so most sus.
So not all of the sus.
Yeah, let's just like list every person.
Okay. Well, none of the Trollocs had names, so I can't give you any named Trollocs there. I think if you see, I don't know if I'm leaning this way because I just didn't really like Luke from the beginning. Like, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like a likable character. So I feel like because of that, I find Alana to be more sus than him.
More sus than who?
Than Luke.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out if it's because she's actually more sus than Luke, or if it's because I just kind of just don't really like Luke.
Good question.
But I'm gonna go with Alana, followed very closely by Luke.
All right, cool.
So next week then we'll read 6 chapters, right? 46 to 50. Is that 7 or 6?
I don't remember. I wasn't because if you did the math wrong. I was just trying
7. It's 7 chapters.
Conceptualize.
46 to 52. Okay, so 7 chapters, 46 to 52.
Mm-hmm.
And then
sounds right.
We will not alter that schedule. That's what we're sticking to
until we change it.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you would like to add?
I think that's about it. This is a good one.
Yeah, lots of Perrin stuff.
Yeah, well, in a lot of ways this is Perrin's book, kind of like this is
yeah, it definitely feels like that.
And I feel like this is where we start really getting into the meat of like we don't get to see it fully realized on all the characters, but like the 3 like Taviran boys are starting to become a little bit,
right?
You know, especially in this arc, like we had Matt with all of the different memories and like he remembers all these battles, and then Rand is trying to become the chief of chiefs of the entire Aiel clans, and Perrin is reluctantly accepting leadership of the 2 rivers, of Edmund's Field at least, and it's just a cool time.
Yeah I agree. I like it.
Yeah,
it's picking up.
We call it good.
We'll call it good. So thank you everybody for listening. May you always find water and shade.